Hello, Klaus here, and welcome back to yet another video. So in this video, I'm going to have a look at a new slider system from Zeapon, which is their motorized slider. And I am super excited about trying this out. I've been looking to get a motorized slider for quite a while, but I haven't really found one I wanted to use yet, or that I could afford. This is a pretty cheap option. It's around $400, and I am super excited to trying this thing out. I was not sent this by Zeapon. I did pay this with my own money, so this is my honest opinion on this thing. And I also did get a Easy Lock system, which is their system, so you can attach this to the slider and you have more places or ways to put this up on a tripod or on a table if you are using that. So without further ado, let's see what's in the box and let's start trying it out. Let's go. Let's have a look at the motorized Micro 2 from Zeapon. So let's start by opening up the box. It's amazing how well these are always, or how much trouble this always gives me. Come on, let's go. There we go. So let's have a look at what's inside of the box. Come on, there we are. So down here we have, of course, a manual or a cable. It's a USB-C Type 3 cable and an Allen key. We have a instruction manual all about the Zeapon slider. We also have a pouch to put your slider inside. That's very nice. And if we move this styrofoam here, we have the slider itself. And it looks and feels very good. It's actually surprisingly good. So it does take some batteries, and those are not included, but we'll talk about that later on. So if you're going to get this, the motorized slider, or they also have a version without the motor, of course, I would recommend you to get this thing here, which is the Easy Lock 2 system. And that is basically feeds for your tripod. And actually it is a bit strange that they call it the Micro Slider 2, because I don't think they ever did a version 1, but never mind. So inside of this box we have, of course, again, instructions, which we will put away. We have a little bit of a ball head. I'm not sure that will work with the camera I'm planning on using on the slider, but we can attach it to the slider if we want to. Maybe if we're using a very light camera, that would work just fine. And then, of course, we have this if we want to adapt this to something else, and then 1/4 inch. And come on, go out of there. And here we have the Easy Lock itself. It has it's built very well. It has metal. It's totally metal, and we can fold out the legs like so we can put it on a table or wherever we want to put our slider, so we don't have to have it on a tripod all of the time. It has a easy locking mechanism. Then you can put this on your slider, as you can see right here, just by loosening this screw here in the back. It does also have in the top a key, so you can tighten your screws if you need to. But anyways, you're just going to add this in here and then tighten it. It is also just a tightening screw, so it's easy. You don't really need any tools for doing this. There we have it tight, and then we're just going to add in this adapter so we can tighten this to our tripod. And we're just going to tighten the screw here again. Then this is the slider. Okay, so I'm back here at the studio, and I have a problem with the slider. So the build quality of the slider is actually pretty good. It's really solid build. It's a pretty heavy little thing. It's well made, but I do have a problem because I can't turn it on. it doesn't work. There's some kind of malfunction in the slider, and this is maybe one of the first times I have to make a break in a review of a product, and that's just a shame. So I have been writing to Zeapon, and I hope to get the answer from them very soon so I can continue to try out the gear. I am still excited about it. I'm just a little bit disappointed right about now. So I'll have to cut it short for now, and I'll be back whenever I get a replacement or I figure out how to fix it. So I got this box, which we do not care too much about anymore, because inside the box I got the motor returned. And the main reason why I got the motor returned is that the motor that was on my Zeapon was damaged, and this was the easiest way to get me up and running very fast. We did try together with Zeapon to figure out a solution on how to fix the slider very fast. Unfortunately, it was broken and we couldn't fix it, but the support team at Zeapon were awesome and were very helpful. So now to the extremely fun part of this video, the part where we are going to test out the slider. So without further ado, let's get testing. Okay, so first off, we're going to test out the different speeds in the slider, and this is on speed 1, and it's super easy to change the speed just by pushing the power button to change the speed. Here we have speed number 2. And as you can see, it is pretty darn smooth. So you can also set in points by double tapping the power button, going to the direction you want, and then double tap again to set in your points. And the main reason it's super cool to put in points is that you can do things like this and repeat the same movements again and again. Here I wanted to test out how it would do with a anamorphic lens from Siri, the 50mm one, and it's a manual lens and no image stabilization built in, and I think it's doing a pretty good job. Again, here I put in start and stop points and just let the motor do its thing. Okay, so the slider also comes with a app, which I have here, and it is super easy to connect to the device. I'm doing that right now, and of course you could see the app here, but you can also see my screen recording. So with this app, obviously the first thing you are going to think is that, or know is that they are actually working on a tilt, a rotate, and a focus follow motor as well. So that is going to be very interesting. Some of the cool things, of course, in this thing is that we can control our slider. So as you see here now, I am controlling it via the app, which is cool. And we can also put in points. So if we just push, let's say we want to have a point here at 1, and then we'll go this way, and then we'll have a point 2, and we'll go a little more. Let's say 0.3. So now we have these 3 points, and now we can actually change the speed of this like we want. Let's say we want it to be something like that, and we can just push play, and it will then absolutely do the slide that we made, which is awesome. Also have a feature in the app to make this loop. If we go here, you'll see it will loop our movement and continue to do this. A side note to this little thing here as well, I'm just going to stop it, is that Zeapon are working on a firmware update, so it will be possible to do the same thing with the motor itself by pushing some buttons. They're working on that. Haven't totally figured it out yet, but I am actually testing out that firmware as well. So hopefully I'll include it in this video or in a later video. So let's go to the next thing, which is a time-lapse feature. I'm not a time-lapser, so I might want to show you how you can do time-lapse on the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. and make this thing work together. So I'll look at that later in the video. So let's get on with the video. So for this test, I wanted to test out how easy it was to carry around the slider without anything else. So for these shots, I only used a slider and my pocket cinema camera 4K with the battery grip. And I was able to do these shots very quickly. And it was very easy to carry around. I only had my backpack, so it doesn't feel anything in a backpack. And I think these are quite lovely shots. So the amazing thing about this slider is the size of it. It is not very big. It can be in your backpack. It doesn't take a lot of space. It is around 30 centimeters or so, and the traveling distance is 52 centimeters, and that is actually quite a bit for a slider of this size. Also, it's very well built, it's robust. The slider takes a payload of 4.5 kilo, which is quite nice. So here I'm just measuring my stuff, like the head and the camera with the battery grip. It's 2.5 kilos around, and that's for doing smooth slides, that's fine. But what if we tilt it and do like a 90 or 60 degrees? So here I am not at a 90 degrees, but and as you see, it is actually doing that very easy, dragging it up or down. Here I do push it all the way down at a 90-degree angle, and as you see, the motor is not struggling or anything, and it is a very smooth shot. So now I want to just test out the slider if it actually can take a little more weight. So here I'm using the Ursa Mini 4.6K, which is around 3 kilos, and then again with the V-mount and again with the video head. And as you see, it is doing that very well. I would recommend, if it was possible, to, if you're shooting inside, to actually use, instead of a V-mount, use the power socket instead, because that would take off some of the weight. But as you see in the shots, they are quite nice and they're quite smooth. And as I talked about before, it is possible to do a time-lapse as well using the pocket cinema camera. Here I just made the slider go from left to right and then speeding it up in post. Overall, this is a very nice slider that will make your shot look a lot smoother and nicer. It does run out of these NPF batteries from Sony. They will last around a couple of hours depending on the size of those batteries, and that is a great solution. And just to recap the time-lapse feature I did on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, I did run that at 2 frames a second, and then through the app on the Zeapon I just made a point A and a point B, and then I in the app made that go pretty slow, and then I just speeded it up in post, and that will work just fine. If you do have a camera that does make time-lapse videos possible, you can do that, of course, by connecting that to the device itself, and then you can play around with that as well. So overall, I do love this slider. The travel length is fine for the work I do, and it is so much easier to carry this kind of slider with you instead of a longer one that doesn't travel much more than this one actually does. I do found a little bit of a design flaw, and maybe Zeapon can correct that. So if you use the Easy Lock system, you can't go all the way to the end because of the weight, so it will actually tilt, and that is not very good. But if you know this, you can either put a weight in the other side on the feet, or you can have a hand there and it will not tilt. But I do hope that Zeapon actually would redesign the Easy Lock system and make it just a little bit longer, so this thing would be avoided. It wouldn't tilt. So it's just because of the length of that. Overall, I do love this slider system. And also to keep in mind that they are working on a firmware update that will make it possible to set in A and B points, and then making the slider loop by pushing some buttons. That update should be out in a couple of weeks. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. I didn't talk too much about it in this video. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video about that. I think that would be just great. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the slider. I do hope you found this video useful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, share it with your friends if you think it will help them out. And if you want to be notified every time there's a new video on this channel, please hit that bell icon down in the corner. Until next time, keep filming, keep learning, and keep sharing.